Starsector. It looks to be a very interesting space game. Now, people have been telling me for ages that I should check this game out. I finally got around to it, and I'm going to be doing a deep dive video into the game in the coming weeks and months. In fact, probably a number of videos. For now though, I really want to give you a feel for what the game is all about, and one of the best ways of doing that, one of the best ways I've found to really get a feel for the game, is to simply dive in on the earlier sections of the game. This then is an edited look at the first half hour or so. Now, what we've seen so far is a bunch of different maps. We've got a whole sector and many different stars that we can visit, and this wonderful planetary map as well. This looks really nice. On the bottom right hand corner, we've got the various different objects that are available in the star system, and yeah, I really do feel that this has a really nice vibe going for it. And here is a top-down view of the star system. We can lay on a course to a particular destination. We're heading for the space station there, and I think we're good to go. Now, the whole game takes place in 2D from a top-down view. This right here is my fleet. You can see it's made up from the various different ships listed on the right-hand side of the screen. We do have control over the fleet, what direction it flies in. For now though, it's automatically heading to the course that I laid in from the previous map. And here we can set in a sustained burn and accelerate up, get a really nice velocity going to get to our destination that little bit quicker. Now, as I play through the game, one thing you're probably going to notice is that it does have a fair amount of the Expanse vibes going on, and that is a really nice touch. Now, we've got a message there saying we're coming up on this asteroid belt. If we fly through that at full speed, we're going to take some damage, so we can press S to slow down. And further into the video, you'll see where I actually use the asteroid belt to hide. This is a great way to approach other destinations when you don't want to be seen. Now, one thing Starsector has is a lot of detail when it comes to gameplay. And right here, it's telling me about the transponder. This is our ship's identification, or our fleet's identification, and each faction, each star system has its own rules regarding this. The hegemony controls this particular star system, and they demand that we have our transponder switched on. That's fine in safe locations like this, but in other locations it will draw unwanted attention from pirates and the like. So we've arrived here at our destination. The commander of this station is Commander Kidd, and they've got a mission for us. Now, what's really nice about Starsector is that it has so much going on in the universe. There's a whole load of different activities, a lot of NPCs you can interact with. Now, what's happened here is that the miners turned pirate are guarding the jump points, preventing us from gathering recent readings and coming up with a way to stabilize them, so we cannot use the jump points to get out of the star system. They're asking us to help out with that. They have, of course, got their own military that can deal with it, but they're engaged in other activities. So they're asking us for the assist. The first stage of this then is for us to go over and retrieve some plans that have been obtained by one of their secret agents aboard the pirate station. And that's all the way over there. So you'll remember I touched on the subject of the transponder. I've actually switched that off. The commander has given us permission to do that within this star system. And the reason for that is because as we're flying our fleet, we do give off a broadcast signal. In short, the noisier we are, the more visible we are within the star system. This is represented by a detection range and a number you can see on the screen right here. So I'm about to disable the sustained burn, and you saw that detection range dropped by 50%. And I keep tapping the wrong key there. So we can reduce that detection range down further. We can go dark, which will reduce the detection range by another 50%. I didn't do that in this particular case. We can also fly among the asteroids, and that gives us a really quiet approach. The objective here is for us to get near this space station so we can communicate with it without being seen by the nearby pirates. You can see them flying around the vicinity. We need to open up the communications and communicate with the agent that's working undercover here for the hegemony. They've come into the possession of some data which we can use to unlock the nearby jump points. That is, once we've dealt with the pirate threat that's actually guarding them. We don't need to get away from this station without being seen, so we're going to fly away very slowly here, very quietly, and hope that the detection waves there don't actually pick us up. And it looks like we are getting away here pretty nicely. So I'm going to lay in a course here back to the station, and then we can hand the data over to the station's commander. So this is a relatively small star system, and there's not too many problems really going on here, so very difficult to encounter too much in the way of trouble. At any rate, we made it back to the station, and Commander Kidd is quite happy with the data, However, unfortunately, they're unable to access it, and they need an AI core to do that. They don't have anything on board the station that's usable for them, but they do know that there's one available in an old probe outside the system edges. So I've headed over to that location. We need to scan the area to try and track down that probe. The probe, unfortunately, is defended, and this is where you'll get to see a small taste of combat. We just need to slowly get through the rings there. I went a little bit too fast and we've taken a small amount of damage. So pressing number 3 here, we're pinging the area, scanning the area. You can see we have found the probe. We're going to head on over to that, and that should bring up a new screen for us. And there we go. Your fleet approaches a domain error probe left from the initial domain exploration of this sector. So here we can actually explore the probe. We're going to need to send over some of our ships to engage with the automated defences. And you can see those automated defences there on the right. It's just 2 small, relatively small ships, and I can choose which ships I want to deploy into the area to deal with them. So I'm going to choose a couple of ships here, and it actually costs resources to deploy these. We can see how many resources that's costing down the bottom there. I think we'll just go with 2. Resources, by the way, do get consumed for every day that you're in space, and days do pass by really fast. Here we've got a tactical overview screen. I'm not going to go too much into that in this particular video, but suffice to say we can issue some commands to the ships, and I'm telling the other fleet ship to just kind of tag along with me. Here's where I can control my capital ship, though, the ship in charge of my fleet. You can see in front of me I've got a small arc of fire. That's represented by the little UI element. Down on the left we've got the different variety of weapons that my ship actually has access to. Most of these are set to auto fire. Right click in will raise the shields, and then we're going to head on over and destroy, or attempt to destroy, these little enemy vessels. Now another enemy vessel's coming up behind me. I'm going to rotate round and try and deal with that, because I don't want it firing at my engines, because that is the weaker part of my ship and my shields, and I don't want to take the damage that might result from that happening. The other vessel from my fleet is dealing with the probe quite nicely, or the enemy vessel quite nicely. There's one explosion, and I think we've just about got the other one. There we go. Some really nice sound effects here, by the way, and some great looking explosions. Now, when you've destroyed some enemies, what you can do is loot them. This is basically salvaging. They've got a fair amount of goodies there. Of particular use are the supplies. This will allow us to keep running in space that bit longer. We've gained 3,000 experience from that, which is great. And now we need to continue on to the probe itself. And we need to do another salvage action to actually loot the AI core from that probe. So here's a summary of how that's going to play out. Again, I'm not going to deep dive too much into that in this particular video. And to be perfectly honest, I don't have the knowledge for the game to actually do that anyway. So yeah, here we are. This is the salvage that's on board this probe. Again, some supplies, some fuel, and the gamma core, the AI core that we actually need to complete the mission. So we're going to loot all of this and then take it back to Commander Kidd at the nearby space station. And all of this is really serving as a great introduction to the world of Starsector. So Commander Kidd here is quite happy that we've got the AI core, and we now need to go and deal with the pirates at the jump point. However, we don't have enough ships to go and do that. So the commander has suggested we go to the nearby ship graveyard around the world of Tetra. There's a bunch of ships orbiting here, and we should be able to go and loot these. So Tetra is a barren world, and it turns out that in Starsector, planets actually serve a useful purpose. We can actually, we can colonize them if we really want to. But this particular world, the system is cut off from hyperspace, and the jump points are unstable. The crew and even the officers are muted, on edge. You judge it unlikely that any amount of hazard pay could overcome the near superstitious fear that spacers feel about colonizing that particular world. So we're not going to go and do that. What we are going to do, though, is try and salvage some of these ships. Now, it turns out that different ships have different costs to actually recover. Some of them can't be recovered, and some need a story point. These are points that you gain as you complete various parts of the story elements within the game. And other ships can simply be salvaged with a resource cost. So some of these ships I've turned to salvage. I've just taken what resources remain from them. Other ships I've actually recovered, like I'm doing here, and added to the fleet. These are not going to be fantastic ships by any means. I mean, any ship you pick up from a graveyard is not going to be high-end or fantastic, but it should do the job. It's a ragtag fleet, and it's better at least than the one we started out with. There's a whole range of different ships here, from basic frigates up to destroyers and other class of ships as well. Some of them are simply supply ships or fuel ships, but we're going to try and take as many as we can. Each ship that you take does need crew. You can hire crew members from space stations. I picked up about 100 before we actually left for here, and well, that enabled me to bring those ships back to the space station. And now we've got them back at the space station, we need to outfit them with a variety of weapons. Fortunately, I didn't need to spend too much time figuring this all out just yet, as the Commander Kid, was nice enough to provide us with the weapons. We can therefore go through the outfitting screen and use the auto-fit option to quickly outfit these different ships. But by the looks of it, if you really want to, you can really go into a very deep level on how to upgrade and outfit each of your ships. Now you can see my fleet there looks much bigger, and we're approaching the hyperspace node. It's protected by these two different fleets of pirate vessels, and I'm tempted to attack one of them without drawing the attention of the other, and it looks like I've managed to achieve that. This battle then is going to be much larger than the one we had against the automated defences around the probe earlier on, so I'm going to need to deploy a lot more ships into this particular battle. And yes, we can lose ships here, and it does cost us a bit from doing that. I'm not going to do anything much here with all of these commands. I'm just going to simply tell them all to escort the capital ship of this particular fleet. Now as we fly up to the top of the screen, you can see some little indicators appearing, little UI elements. These are the hostiles, the enemies. I'm going to right click and raise my shield. We're going to press R on one of the targets there to actually target them, and we get some information about the target. I'm getting a little bit too close there. This one looks very, very small, probably relatively weak compared to me, so it's probably going to die pretty easy. Yeah, that's gone. The bigger ship over to the right here is going to take a little bit more damage to deal with, though this one actually took a little bit more time to take down. And whilst I was dealing with this, my allies actually went out and dealt with the other hostiles, slowly taking them down, and I sort of focused my attention on this one until they all come over to help me finish this off. And this one goes with a rather spectacular explosion. Look at that, really nice. The ship down the bottom there, flashing purple, is venting. This is when the shields get a little bit too much flux. They can kind of overheat and become disabled and causing harm to your ship, so you do need to vent that. Again, we can recover some of the ships here if we're so inclined, but I wasn't too interested in doing that. We've also got a summary there of the encounter. What I was really interested in doing is heading on over to the final hyperspace now that we've kind of freed them up, and I wanted to see what was going on in hyperspace itself. We're going to bypass this other conflict by using a story point, and we can head on into a hyperspace to finally see what that is about and get ourselves over to a new star system. And look at this, hyperspace looks really interesting and really nice. You do use up fuel to travel through hyperspace. You can get stranded here. If you run out of fuel, you'll drift towards the nearest planet, the nearest star system, and if that one is empty and abandoned, you're going to be in trouble. You'll need to send off a distress signal and hope that someone comes to actually give you some assistance. So there we have it, a very brief look at Starsector. The first half hour or so looks very, very intriguing to this. So my thanks to everyone who has recommended me over the years to take a look at this. And if you are interested in taking a look for yourself, do check out the link in the video description. I'll catch you all next time, and yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll have some more videos on Starsector over the coming weeks and months. Take care.